Hello, 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 and welcome to today's training where I'm going to show you how steel mace training can give you lifelong fitness, physical strength, and functional mobility for life or for your favorite sport. So, if you haven't seen me handling the steel mace yet, this is the steel mace. So, the steel mace has been around for about 50,000 years. Even very early humans just picked up a bit of a stick and tied a rock to it. Okay, so it's been around for 50,000 years. But the first written evidence of the steel mace is from about 2,000 years ago from India and Pakistan, where people used to basically turn ordinary humans into warriors with the steel mace. They used to be made from wood. So that is the steel mace. Now, if you are joining me live, let me know where you are joining me from. And also, if you have any questions about the steel mace training, just pop them in the chat box. If you are watching on the replay, just put replay and ask away. I'll check in later. Okay, so that's a brief history of the steel mace. Steel mace has made it to the West only about 10 years ago, but it is quickly becoming a quite notable fitness tool because of its versatility. Okay, and in today's training I'm gonna tell you all about the incredible benefits of steel mace training, which is kind of a little bit boring, a little bit of facts, but I'm also gonna show you the two different types of training you can do with the steel mace, which basically make it kind of the only exercise style you need, because I know that all of us are incredibly busy, and we all know that we need to be doing, as women over the age of 40, we need to be doing 3 different exercise styles, and they are strength training, so we can build and maintain lean muscle mass, prevent the pesky menopausal weight gain, and have strong bones and have kind of basic functional strength for life, or for our physical activities. That we need to do some kind of cardiovascular exercise for, obviously, for our heart, to keep our heart fit and to have a base kind of level of fitness, so every time we go up a hill we're not absolutely dying at the end of it. And the third form of training that you absolutely must do is mobility, and kind of flexibility is a little bit in that too. So these are the 3 types of training that every woman over the age of 40 absolutely must do if she wants to live a long and healthy life without pain and injuries and the loss of independence and functionality. But that sounds like a bit of a tall order. I mean, how do you fit it all in, right? And that's why exercising smarter and discovering these kind of slightly innovative and different ways to exercise can kind of tick all the boxes in one simple workout. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you the 2 different types of training that I do with my clients, and I do personally as well. And if you've been in my world for a little while, you know that I am a really active person. I've got 3 active kids. I live in this beautiful country, so I want to make the most of what this place has to offer. So I hike, I swim, I surf, I maintain or non-maintain very well my beautiful garden. So I really need a body that is functional, that doesn't hurt, and that allows me to do anything I want to do. So steel mace training is what I do the most. I've been training with the steel mace for about 2.5 years, maybe just under 3 years, and I have certainly noticed phenomenal strength gains. Now, before I picked up the steel mace, I trained myself in tech fit, so more kind of kettlebells and club bells. Before that, I went completely gym based, and I did training with weights, which I didn't find was giving me particularly kind of functional strength for surfing. It was also giving me a lot of tension and aches as well. So when I discovered TechFit and started training with TechFit, I've certainly discovered mobility and kind of started dipping my toes into functional training, and I took it to a whole next kind of new level with the steel mace. So 2 types of training you can do with the mace. The first one is mace flows. And these are your low intensity, can be your low intensity. It can be definitely taken up a notch if you've got a heavier mace. Mace flows are so low intensity, low impact exercise. This is more about movement, flowing, mobility, flexibility, but it is quite gentle strength training as well. So I'm going to show you some flows. Obviously, you will, when you first start Mace training, you will just do some basic flows like maybe this one. Okay, woo! I'm trying to watch the screen if I fit and then I stumbled. Yeah. So this is just a 2-movement flow where I start in the lateral lunge and then I go into vertical press. What I love about this is that it's really nice to combine movements together. So at the gym, you know, you're just doing kind of one movement at a time, and this is combining movements together. So the conditioning is always greater than when you're doing them separately. Obviously, when you're first learning, you'll be doing it very slowly. I will teach you how to break the steps apart, how to kind of start from the very beginning, then maybe start lifting the leg. So there is many steps that you need to go through to kind of slowly acquire the skill. Some of the most common questions I get is people watch my videos and they kind of like, I can't learn this. It looks way too complicated. Now, some of the kind of fancy videos that I have on social media, it's a result of 3 years of consistent training. So, of course, it's going to look quite smooth and quite polished because I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of repetitions. At the beginning, your flows are going to feel a little bit clunky, okay? And that's okay. That is totally okay. You're going to be kind of going robotically step by step, but you will notice what's going to start happening automatically and on its own is that your flows are going to start actually flowing. And that's a really lovely process, okay? So if you've got any questions about the Mace flows, pop them in the comments. So this is a couple of quite simple flows with just 2-3 movements, okay? Where you can also take the Mace training is into some rather complicated flows. And I'm going to show you that. Obviously, that's not where you're going to begin. You're going to start slowly. But I have, obviously, you know that I've just released the very first Steel Mace program in the whole world, specifically designed for women that have 2 of this type of Mace training inside, and that is the Mace flows and then safely challenging strength training, which I will demonstrate after this, okay? So inside the Warrior Woman program, I'll teach you 14 different flows, starting from super basic, going to some quite complex ones. But it's a process, okay? You just have to start from simple movements and then slowly acquire the skills, the strength, and the fitness to be able to do some rather more complicated flows like these. Yeah? And then you go again. So this is one of the flows that's in the program. It's called a drop swing flow. A drop swing is this movement, okay? But obviously at the beginning, you'll be starting very slowly, very gently, just acquiring skills, one movement at a time, yeah? And sometimes people think, I can't learn this flow. It looks way too complicated. But time and time again, I teach my clients sometimes in one session, okay? So it is entirely possible. So this is the Mace flows. The second type of training that you can do is strength training. And you can kind of manipulate the strength training into 2 different ways. You can do high intensity interval training, or you can just do basically like a weight session, like a strength training session, okay? And then I will teach you both of these styles inside the program as well. So why should you be doing high intensity interval training? So according to research and scientists, it is the most effective forms of training for women over 40 to build skeletal muscle, lean muscle, and prevent weight gain. So essentially, this is what we call body composition. So one of the most common complaints of that I hear from women in midlife, kind of entering perimenopause and menopause, is weight gain. Sometimes it gets really out of control. Sometimes it's quite subtle and it's kind of slow to come. Even I have not been immune to that. I've noticed that I've kind of put on a few pounds here and there, and I need to be really careful how I kind of manage that so it doesn't get out of control. So safely challenging interval training, it's a great way how to really stimulate your metabolism, how to burn calories, sometimes for up to 48 hours after you actually finish the workout. Obviously, it builds great strength, great fitness, but there is a but. What a lot of women experience in a lot of these high intensity interval training classes like CrossFit and F45 is that it's a bit much, okay? There's often not really an allowance for someone who might not have a certain level of strength and fitness. Often the volume is really high, so you are asked to do quite high amount of repetitions. There's obviously limited supervision and coaching as well. And often women just find it too much. And often it brings in also tension, aches, and frequent injuries because the demand on the body is just a bit much. What I teach all of my clients is to be able to adjust the intensity of your workout to where your body is at on any given day. So I know if you are in perimenopause, I am. Some days I literally get up and I feel like I could slay dragons. Some days I can barely get out of bed, okay? The energy levels fluctuate, hormones fluctuate. Sometimes people have achy joints, achy muscles, lack of mojo, bit of a low mood. And all of these are just kind of normal symptoms of perimenopause. So how can you manage them and still maintain a regular exercise habit? Well, you need to get out of the mindset of everything and nothing. So either I exercise hard out or I don't do anything or just go for a bit of a walk. But I want to teach you how to be able to exercise every single day, but know how to adjust the intensity of your workout. So when people hear high intensity interval training, they're kind of like, oh my gosh, no way. Like there is a words or high and intensity in that, and no thank you. The way I teach HIIT, so high intensity interval training, is I teach you so many different progressions and regressions of the exercise that you can even inside the workout adjust the intensity. Sometimes you kind of start working out and you realize, hey, I feel amazing. I'm going to push a bit. So then you can start doing, the movements faster, or you can do slightly more complex version of the movement. Sometimes when you just really don't feel it, you can just go super gentle. So you are still moving. You are still building lean muscle. You are still stimulating your metabolic system, and you are moving, which is so good for us because we really need to move every single day, but move in the right way. And also, I just lost my train of thought there. Sorry. Yeah, so being able to adjust the intensity and also having a bit of a menu of exercises to choose from. So inside the program, there is Mace flows and there is strength training. So maybe on the days that you don't feel so good, you can still move and do some of the Mace flows. You can just do it for 10, 15 minutes. If you are up for the full strength training session, they are only 20 minutes as well. And I teach you, I coach you through it. So I have recorded the 20-minute sessions from beginning to the end. So I will be there with you, giving you strategies how you manage yourself inside the workout in case you are getting really tired or you're getting puffed, it's a bit much. And also the other way, like, hey, this is easy, I want to take it up a notch. Okay, so it's literally like having me in the room with you, because a lot of the programs will just give you the repetitions, give you the exercises, and then you have to go and do it on your own. That's not how I like to do things. I know that we all struggle with motivation sometimes. I do as well. I'm not immune to it either. So I want to be there with you the whole 20 minutes. So you don't get lost, you don't get confused, you don't get kind of disheartened if something doesn't quite work, okay? I will go through the whole workout with you. So what do the strength training sessions look like? So I use 4 different timers in the program to hit different metabolic systems in the body. So some are a little bit more targeted to endurance, some are more targeted to quick recovery. However, I also teach you how to do the strength training session without the timers. So if you are one of these women who just like, I don't want to be exercising to beeps, and some women get quite stressed out by that. I have a lot of clients who are like, no thanks, I'm not doing that. I will also teach you how to use the strength training exercises without the timers and still get a really super effective strength training session in, okay? So I will generally teach you 4 movements and then combine them into a bit of a workout. So some of these movements could be squats, yeah? There's many versions of each movement. Some of them could be the 360s, which is super fun. Yeah, this is like literally the signature movement. And then you can start kind of combining them together as well. Yeah, into kind of a little bit more exciting movements. And this is obviously just comes with time. Okay. You can do, you can do pressing, you can do rowing, yeah, the possibilities are endless. I basically teach you over 50 Mace movements. That is just 50 basic movements, and then each of these 50 movements I teach you many different variations of each as well. So you have literally a library of so many exercises that it might take you years, months or years to get through it all. Okay, so that's the strength training. So some of the questions, I'm just going to check the chat box. If you've got any questions, just pop them in there. If you're watching replays, still pop them in there. I'll check later, okay? So a lot of the questions I get is, I don't know if I can learn it. It looks too complicated. I'm not fit enough. I'm too old. I'm not coordinated enough. You don't have to be any of these things. You don't have to be certain fitness. You don't have to be certain strength. You don't have to be a coordinated person, okay? You will still learn it. How do I know? Because I've taught over 200 people how to train with a steel mace. The youngest being my daughter, who was 10 at the time. The oldest is a person who is 83 years old. So my newest clients that I've been training for the last month are 80 and 83, and they are both training with a steel mace. And then obviously I coached a whole bunch of clients of various ages in between, from teens to busy mums with new babies, and then obviously kind of people 40 and 50 plus. I've had clients in their 60s. I had clients in their 70s. They all learn it, okay? Because you break it down to simple steps. So let's, for example, take a lunge pattern, and I'm going to show you all the different levels that you are going to learn inside the program. Now, you're going to start with basic body weight lunge. So for the people who maybe don't like lunges, or lunges hurt their knees, you are going to learn a body weight lunge with the proper technique. So it's really good to just revisit your form and see if you are doing it right, okay? Then you can, if you're happy with where how your form is and you kind of feel like you are in control, then you can pick up the mace. First, you're just going to be holding the mace, okay? That's step 1. You're just going to get used to what it feels like to have load and what it feels like to have a slightly unfamiliar tool in your hand, yeah? If you want to switch, you go there. Once you've mastered this, then you can start adding dynamic movements. And again, you just learn it very slowly. You lunge, you open, you close, you lunge back. Once you get used to it, you can do it in one continuous motion. So you are always building on skills. You're always building on your strength, okay? Then maybe you want to do the battle lunge. Yeah? See how I'm just building on complexity. This is a bit of a different level now, yeah? I'm adding a twist, I'm getting a lift, and it's super fun. Just always keeps your brain engaged. You have to think about it. You can't think about, oh, I haven't done the laundry, or what I'm going to cook for dinner, or about deadlines at work. You just have to think about this, which is so nourishing for the brain, okay? So then we have rotational lunge. So if you're happy with the battle lunge, which I've just demonstrated, then you can go into slightly more complicated lunge pattern. See, this is all lunges, but I'm just kind of adding extra bit to it. And then side rotational lunge. Yeah. So you always have so many options. And then eventually you can start combining more complicated movements together. Okay. Going 360. Yeah. See how much fun that is? Like you're always building on skills. There's always another movement to master, and it's super fun. So let's talk about a little bit the mental and emotional component. So Mace training, especially if you are doing the Mace flows, is incredibly kind of meditative movement. You have to be, it kind of connects you back into your body, and it quietens all the voices in your head, because you know we have this relentless voices and clutter in our minds. We're thinking about so many things all the time. We're living in our heads. What the Mace training, because it requires such an intense concentration, it allows you to just chuck it all out. So really all you're doing is just you focusing on your body, focusing on the movement, on the breath, where to go from side to side. And that is so nourishing. Like most of my clients comment on it, how incredibly kind of nourishing and refreshing it is, and how calm and relaxed they feel after the sessions. So that is a huge component of the Mace training as well. So I'm going to touch on briefly some of the kind of most notable benefits that I have noticed, and you know, literature is saying about the Mace training and what my clients also notice. So I coach people that are just doing Mace training and functional training, and then I coach a lot of people who are extremely active, and they use the Mace training as a way to up their performance, maintain strength, mobility, endurance, coordination, balance, mobility, flexibility. Okay, so those are kind of the two ways you can also, two different groups of people that use the Mace training. So you can use it as your only conditioning program, and it will give you everything you need. It is all inbuilt. Like when you think about mobility, rather than just passively stretching, if I want to stretch my biceps and my arms, I'd rather do this. That's actually giving me functional mobility, where my muscles are able to stretch and perform while I'm doing something else, which is what you kind of need for daily life. Okay, so the biggest kind of difference in results I and my clients have gotten from Mace training is core strength. So the core is incredibly important. Everybody talks about the core. Not many people know actually what the core is. Your core is everything apart from your legs and your arms. And the main function of your core is to protect your spinal column. Yeah. So your spine is incredibly important. It's incredibly fragile. So you've got all these muscles to essentially protect the spine. People need to be able to condition the core not only when you're stabilizing it, but also in rotations. So there goes my notes. So I'm going to demonstrate some movements that I love for core strengthening. So when you think about the 360, my core needs to be so on to prevent the rotation. So I don't want to move with the Mace. I want to lock my body while I'm swinging the Mace around me. So I feel it all in my core, in my glutes and everywhere. Okay. Then obviously, you are building strength in rotation, which is where actually most people will put their backs out. Yeah. So again, I'm rotating, I'm building strength in my core here. Okay. Another place where I notice phenomenal gains in strength and stability is the shoulders. So shoulders is one of the most frequently injured joint because it's so shallow, and a lot of people mess up the ligaments, the rotator cuff. If you are a surfer or a swimmer, you know that a lot of either you might be suffering from a lot of injuries and aches and tension in your shoulders, or somebody you know might. Okay, so literally the most frequently injured joint is the shoulder. The Mace builds phenomenal shoulders because it not only strengthens the big muscles around the shoulder, but also the small stabilizing muscles, but also the actual joint and the ligaments around it. So you can be doing all these movements where you're pressing, yeah, but you can also get into single-handed work, which obviously builds phenomenal strength. Yeah, you can do things like single casts. Yeah, what I teach you in the program is movements like these. Okay, so you can see how that will translate to phenomenally kind of wicked strength and in the shoulders, and also prevent all injuries by building really good functional strength in the shoulder. Okay, the other benefits is obviously grip strength and wrist strength. Yeah, so many women will break their wrist. It's like one of the most common injuries for women over the age of 50. They generally fall, and wrist is the first one that goes because you always put your hand kind of behind you to save yourself. Okay, many women I know, many clients that have come to me at the beginning have quite weak wrists, weak and inflexible wrists. So obviously handling the mace in just one hand will build a very strong wrists and forearms as well. And where most injuries happen in the body is the connective tissue, so your tendons and your ligaments, especially around the joints. Okay, so because the mace uses a lot of traction, it builds wickedly strong joints. Yeah, because not only in traditional weightlifting, you only kind of go up and down and side to side, but these are really three-dimensional movements that are conditioning the body from all directions, giving you kind of strength for life. Like I've noticed, I was weightlifting for years, and I would always get injured, either in the weightlifting or lifting up my babies or digging up a garden. I always had a tension in the back. Like I wasn't really fit for those complex movements. And then not even talk about surfing, okay? Because there's so much in surfing. You need such complex movements, and even the pedaling. So I found that Mace is just fantastic for building that kind of useful strength that can be kind of translated into any movements that you can possibly imagine. So there's just kind of a few. Obviously, you will get incredibly toned muscles. In some of the testimonials, people said that they really notice, specifically in the upper body, which is the strength that a lot of women in midlife lose. Yeah, traditionally women don't have a lot of upper body strength, but we still need it. Okay, we don't want to have posture like this. We don't want to have the flabby arms. And like there's a statistic that the average woman over the age of 65 cannot lift a 10-pound bag. I mean, that's tragic. That's 5 kilos. Okay, that is not what's going to give you a good life when you are older. You need to be able to lift things, to be able to pick up your grandkids, to be able to carry your groceries. So you need strong muscles. And it's really nice when they look good too, when people notice, hey, you've got beautifully toned arms, and you work hard for it. So enjoy it. Okay, enjoy it. And obviously mobility as well. Okay, so I do a little bit of mobility kind of aside, but when you think about the Mace flows, there is so much mobility and flexibility built into that as well. And so rather than spending hours in the gym and then doing stretching and going to yoga classes and then walking, you can get it all just in 10-20-minute workouts. So in terms of, we're all busy. I'm super busy. I'm a solo mom of 3 kids. I run 2 businesses. I have a serious surfing addiction. So I need workouts that are just fast. They will just get the job done, and I don't have to spend hours doing it. Okay. So if you're thinking that you might like to give Mace training a go, actually, one more question. I got a question: how much the steel mace is? Okay, and how do you choose? I start clients at the beginning with 4 kilo mace. So that's roughly about 9 to 10 pounds. in for my Northern Hemisphere friends in America and Canada. Mace like that costs $30 US. In New Zealand and Australia, kind of around the $60-70 mark, okay? And I still personally use 4 kilo mace for my flows. If you want to get really focus on gaining strength, you might eventually need a bigger mace for the strength training, because you're kind of performing the movements slightly separately. Obviously, there's a huge difference between this and a huge difference between this, yeah? So eventually, I think it's kind of nice to have 2 maces available, but you can just start with the 4 while you're acquiring skills, and then slowly kind of save up or build up your kind of arsenal of of maces. I have a 6 kilo mace as well, which is roughly about 13-14 pounds, and that's a bit of a beast. Remember that this is not like dumbbells. Any extra kilos or 2 pounds, you're going to seriously feel it, because you're swinging it, right? The weight is at the very end. It's a very uneven distribution. So don't buy yourself a big chunky mace and then realize that it's actually really difficult, okay? So starting with the 4 kilos, which is roughly 9-10 pounds, $30 US on Amazon or from the TechFit store, or kind of between $60 and $80. Inside the Warrior Woman program, I will give you very detailed videos and instructions on how to choose your mace, and I also give you links where to buy them. I don't get commissions from any of these. It is just I've researched a really high quality mace that my clients have purchased or I have purchased before. So I want to give you the best tool you can possibly have, okay? So I will guide you through it if you've got some questions. That's kind of the investment that you're going to have to make. But remember, I was working with the 4 kilo mace probably for the first 6-8 months, and that was all that I needed. And then slowly I got a 5. So I went up 1 kilo, 2 pounds. And then I didn't buy the 6 kilo mace till probably about 2 years into my training. So that's about 12-13 pounds, and 13-14 pounds. And I still can't do all of the movements with the 6. It's pretty heavy. It's pretty chunky. So that is kind of how much the steel mace costs, okay? So if this is calling to you, if you want something that is unique, fun, safely challenging, and that will make you feel totally badass, because this is warrior training we talk about, okay? It will make you feel good. It will make you feel strong, confident, invincible, unstoppable, and that's a feeling that you kind of carry with you even after the workout is finished. It's a great conversational piece when somebody asks you, hey, what do you do for exercise? You can tell them, well, I actually swing an ancient warrior steel mace. That's kind of cool as well. But really, most importantly, it will give you lifelong fitness, amazing physical strength, mobility, flexibility, and also balance, coordination. Those are all of the things that we lose as we age, and that are so important just to preventing the falls and the fractures and the injuries that people suffer from as they are aging. So if you've got any questions, please reach out. I'm going to put a link to the Warrior Woman program. It's been in my head for 18 months. It is the program that I'm probably the most proud of, because it is so unique. I have just kind of realized recently that I've created a program that no one else has done before. There's a few steel mace programs around, generally kind of targeted at men. None of them are so comprehensive, that have movement library, they have steel mace, and then safely challenging strength training. So I'm super proud. I would love to have you inside the program and help you with your fitness and health goals. And it's really just a warrior tribe training, isn't it? So yeah, if you've got any questions, keep them coming. Check the link below for all the details about the program. And yeah, so lovely to hang out with you today. Ka kite ano. Bye from a beautiful windy Wellington.